Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Chasing Dreams podcast with Charlie and Justin. We're on episode 94, and we can't see a thing right now.
Yeah.
We are recording in person, number one, which is, I don't want to say new, but new recently.
New
because
for the last couple weeks.
Yeah, we've been kind of hit or miss as far as being in person goes. And we're actually back to what I would consider our normal time range of 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. type deal.
Yeah.
So it's nice to get it in and get it done early. I don't know. Just like we always say, it's always better to feel accomplished in the morning because I feel like I get so much more done throughout the day when I set the tone.
Yeah, exactly. It was cool. Last night I finished a back workout late. The baby stayed up late, so I had to get her to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was rushing around to get to bed because I knew I was going to get up in the morning and record and then lift in the morning, and I don't get to do that very often anymore. So I was excited. Waking up, I woke up early, and I was like, oh, gotta get ready.
Well, for me, sleep is the alternative, and it never ends up being anything that would be overly beneficial for me. So the snooze button.
Mm-hmm.
Every time when I hit the snooze button, I have never once in my entire life hit the snooze button or reset my alarm or whatever and woke up and felt more refreshed.
No, because you already wake up. I think there's science behind that. When you first wake up in the morning, I figure there has to be something.
Well, I don't track my sleep, but you would probably rationalize that you're in some type of REM sleep, some type of deep sleep state when you first wake up. At least most of us are or should be. And then once you wake up, if you set the alarm, you're likely not entering back into a REM sleep cycle or anything. So your sleep quality is compromised. For me, I'm sure that a lot of people are like this. When I set my alarm or I hit snooze or whatever, I know it's going to go off. Let's say my alarm goes off and I reset it for 15 minutes down the road. I will wake up several times over the course of those 15 minutes to look at it. So it's almost like my body is cognizant and well aware that the alarm's going to go off and I got to get up in 15 minutes or whatever.
Right.
And so the quality's never there. And it's like getting up early in the morning for the gym. People say, oh, well, I can't believe you wake up at 3:30 in the morning or 4 in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever the schedule is that day. And I tell them, well, I don't feel any less rested than when I wake up at 5 or 6 or 7. The extra sleep doesn't really seem to be a boost for me.
Do you adjust your bedtime when you wake up that early to work out versus or do you just get less sleep?
So I generally don't. No, I generally don't change it, but I wouldn't say that I get less sleep on the early days. I get more sleep on the late days.
Okay.
So it's not I have, whatever, I will set my sleep cycle for 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock usually about 3:45, honestly. So 3:45 a.m., that's my normal wake time, right? So I set when I go to bed based off of that. So when I wake up at 6, if I get to quote sleep in,
right,
I get more sleep. It's not I get less sleep when I wake up. I know that those are the same thing, but the connotations behind the word more and less implies deviation from the normal. Right. So my normal is early, and then if I sleep in, I just get more. And honestly, it's because I am never one to ever have, I don't think in 20 years I've ever had to force myself to go to bed. Or I have a difficult time falling asleep or whatever.
Yeah, so I don't have a difficult time falling asleep. I can sleep anywhere at any time.
Same.
But I do have to force myself to go to bed. I run out of time in the day, especially now where I'm busy all the time because of the baby and work and the fire station and, the gym being at the house. So I'm always busy here with chickens, a garden. There's always something to do.
Yeah.
So when it gets close to that 6 hour mark before I have to get up for work, I have to literally force myself, and I usually don't go to bed till I have 5 hours left to get up. So I have poor sleep hygiene. So whenever I started training in the morning, at first I didn't do anything different. I just set my alarm for 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Instead of 3.
Yeah.
Or 3:30. And it didn't affect me for a while, but I wonder if that is a thing. It's hard. It's hard to adjust your bedtime, because our clocks.
Well, like, yeah, your biological clock and like your circadian rhythm.
That was the word.
It's so difficult because it takes so long to get it set.
Right.
And then you can mess it up in one day, it seems like.
Yeah.
So like it's like, okay, you make all this progress towards going to bed at a certain time. Like the best sleep by my estimation, and I've never used any metrics to track it. I know they make like Fitbits have like sleep trackers. They make the Aura rings, like which a lot of people are really big on. I've never used any of that. But the best sleep, just by anecdotal experience, like what it appears to be on my end, is when I was in college, my senior year. I was getting up at 4 or 5 in the morning every morning, and I was doing 2 sessions at the gym. Now, I wasn't lifting twice. What I was doing is I was waking up first thing in the morning, because if I'm not mistaken, I believe I was in prep at that time. So I was waking up at the first thing in the morning and going to the gym, the campus gym, right when it opened. And you know what? Come to think of it, I'm kind of backtracking now. I don't think it was my senior year, because my senior year I was training at Real Training and Fitness, which was a local gym that I drove to off campus. I think it was maybe my junior year where I was actually still lifting on campus or whatever. Regardless, one of these years in college, I was waking up early, going to the gym right when it opened. So like 5 o'clock or whatever it was. I would do cardio on a bike, just like a normal spin bike, for usually we went about a half hour. There's my training partner and I. We go for about a half hour on the bike, and then we would spend probably, I would say, a half hour stretching and doing sauna. And then I would go home and eat and start my day, and then we would come back to the gym and actually weight lift or strength train at like 6 p.m. or whatever.
Okay.
So I was getting up at the same time every day, Monday through Sunday. Like, so it wasn't that I was ever missing a day. And then in college, your schedule is obviously very well regulated with classes and stuff. So I got into this routine of sleeping, eating, training, and then you think you're busy in college, but you're not. You have no responsibilities whatsoever other than your lifting, your school, of course, your eating, and work, which I worked at the time.
Yeah.
And I got on this sleep pattern, and I'm thinking now, I don't think, I can't remember when it was, because I think it was potentially like my junior year, maybe even before that, now that I recollect, because I was working at the nightclub as I got into like the later years of college, but not really important to the story. I'm just kind of rambling and thinking about it out loud. But those were my only responsibilities, and I was doing the same thing every single day.
Right.
So it got to the point where I didn't set my alarm for months, and I would wake up like clockwork if my alarm was set for 4:30, I believe it was. So like, let's say 4:30, I would wake up at 4:29.
Yeah.
4:27, 4:28, 4:30, 4:29 every single day. Would never set an alarm. Sometimes I would go to bed and my phone wouldn't be on.
Yeah.
And I would wake up instantly at that time. And it was so cool when you get your body well regulated like that, because it just feels like it runs so much more efficiently when it's doing the things that it's used to doing, and it starts to like auto-regulate itself. It was awesome.
Yeah. Jocko actually talks about that on his podcast and in his book all the time. He works up at 4:30 every single day.
Yep. And he takes a picture of it, doesn't he? And posts it?
Takes a picture on his watch and posts it on his Instagram, or how he says it, his social media. But no, so he does that every single day, and I don't want to quote him directly, 100%, but for like 20 plus years, he's woke up at 4:30 every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And there might be a day here or there, but for the most part, it's 4:30 every single day. He doesn't have to set an alarm, and it's like 3:29 or 4:29, 4:27.
Yep.
Every single day, and it's like, that makes sense, because it does. Like you said, I went for the longest time where I set an alarm every day because I'm paranoid I'm going to sleep in.
Yeah.
Because I've done it in my past. That's what I used to do. But as of recent years, I don't have to set an alarm anymore.
Well, when you get control of your health,
yeah,
your body, how amazing is it when what the body can do? when it's given what it needs.
Right.
So the nutrition that it needs, the sleep that it needs, the stress management that it needs, the care and the love that it needs, everything.
I think my sleep hygiene's my worst area, though.
I think that I don't know. I shouldn't say that. I was going to say that you could say that for most people, but I don't know. Like, it's kind of like more bad and worse scenario for a lot of people. Because I was going to say, well, I don't know if sleep is actually people's worse or if it's the nutrition or the stress management,
and they all play together.
Yeah, for sure.
You eat poorly, you end up with heartburn at midnight, and now you're awake, wide awake, can't sleep because you can't lay down because you got acid coming up your throat.
Yep.
Like, they all go together. You don't work out, so you don't burn off enough energy throughout the day, and you lay there and look at the ceiling.
Yep.
It's like I've been a victim of all of those, and they're all self-inflicted.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Which is difficult for people to come to grips with because obviously you can.
They want to point. Society wants to point the finger.
Yeah. Well, it's like like the eating healthy.
Yeah.
Eating healthy takes too much time. It's too expensive, and like really, it's not either of those at all.
It's easier, and it's cheaper.
Yeah.
You have to be smart.
It's all about, for me, man, I'm like, and this is probably what you're alluding to when you say you have to be smart. You have to have the system.
Yeah.
So like for me, when it comes to training clients, if I have 50 clients that I have to train and I have limited hours to train them, I need to have a system down, a scheduling system on how do I get everybody scheduled? How do I contact everybody? How do I group people so that I'm not just doing one-on-ones and I have like some small groups so I can fit more people in and make sure everybody gets the training they need? You need a system. Mm-hmm. Usually people in business and in life fail because they don't have a good system. It's not because, and that goes back to like convenience. So like, okay, eating healthy takes too much time.
Right.
Right. So what is the alternative to that? Go through the drive-through because it's quick. Well, you don't have a right system or an efficient system because what you're trying to do is you're trying to prepare every meal as you eat it, which, well, I'm not home, so I can't prepare my chicken and my rice. Okay, we'll do it ahead of time, right? They just don't have the system down. And I feel like that's one thing that we've talked about before with me specifically in regards to like my training and stuff. You work all these hours and you train all these people. Well, I just have gotten more and more efficient over the years at handling a higher volume of people, like, kind of changing my check-in protocol, changing my training protocol, changing how long I work with athletes, like kind of manipulating those different variables that I have control of to make sure that the system is kind of a well-oiled machine. And I think that that's why people fail at things. It's not, we've said this before, it's not because of a lack of desire, it's a lack of convenience.
Exactly.
Like the things they want to do aren't convenient enough for them, and they're trying to do things inefficiently and just work harder. It's like, no, if you're struggling to work so hard at something, it's probably just because it's not efficient enough for you.
Right.
You need to make it sustainable, right?
Yeah, I think a big part of it is what you want, what you need, and what you desire need to all line up. And I think a lot of people just can't come to grasp with that. I can't. I mean, sometimes I can't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's like, I know I need to eat more raw vegetables, like uncooked raw vegetables, because they do good for my gut health. But I like steamed broccoli. So I don't eat enough raw vegetables, and then I come up with some gut issues. And it's like Charlie has to remind me, hey, what are we eating? You know what I mean? Like, so it's like you have to think about what you need and what you want, and then align those with where you want to go.
Yeah, and the term need is highly variable too.
Yeah,
like
actually need.
Yeah, because people will say, oh, well, and even want is highly variable too. People say, I want to be a bodybuilder. No, you don't. You would like to look like a bodybuilder, but you don't want to actually be a bodybuilder. Because really, like, listen, if you wanted a cheeseburger from McDonald's, you're going to get the cheeseburger.
Right.
If you truly want it, you're going to get in your car, you're going to drive, you're going to go, and you're going to get it. Whereas if you say you want to lose 50 pounds, you don't really want to lose 50 pounds. You enjoy the thought of having that 50 pounds off, but you don't want to go through the process of what it takes to lose the 50 pounds. Otherwise,
you'd be 50 pounds lighter.
You do it. Yes, for sure. Yeah. I don't think that, I think that it's never really a question of willpower. It's a question of priorities for most people.
Yeah. I think we need to do at some point, we need to dive into how simple it really truly is to meal prep and take eating out as a thought process out of your day.
Yes, I do. So I'll just use me as an example without getting into much detail. I prepare, so I'm never home.
Yeah.
As we know, like I leave my house at, again, depends on the day. There's slight variations, but generally it's about, 4 o'clock, maybe. Sometimes my training partners and I start our run at 4 o'clock. So it may be a little bit earlier, but for all intents and purposes, let's say I leave the house at 4 a.m. I usually do not get back until 8 p.m. So, and then sometimes it's later, sometimes it's earlier, it varies. So from 4 a.m. to 8 p.m., I am not at home.
Right.
I do not have access to a kitchen. I prepare all my meals at home before I leave, and I can prepare all of the meals that I eat, with the exception of the chicken, which is pre-cooked, okay? I can prepare all the meals that I'm going to eat for the day probably within 20 minutes. I'll say it's less than that, but I'll round up and say that it'll take me 20 minutes to do that.
Nice. And now with that, during your week, like one day a week, obviously, do you have like a big cook day?
I don't,
because you buy pre-cooked chicken.
I prep it, but there's no set day for it.
Okay.
Like whenever it runs out, I just make more.
Because you just basically keep a container like I do of the same thing all week.
Yeah. So I don't have it. Well, the reason that I don't have it like that is because with my diet, things change periodically. So I could, weigh out the chicken and cook it beforehand for the week and know how much I'm going to have every single day. But with my amounts changing, I don't know if I'll eat more this week, less this week. If I have, cheat meal and I have leftover chicken for, the next couple days or whatever. But usually every couple days I'm prepping that chicken. But regardless, meals in the morning takes me at most, overestimating here, probably about 20 minutes.
That's awesome.
So, and I think that most people would have the capabilities of doing that because they're not eating as much food or as many meals as I am.
Right, exactly, because you eat a large amount of food.
So it's really not that difficult to do it.
Yeah. So yeah, and that's what I mean. Like I think if people that do it every day were to be more open about what they do, how I cook my chicken, how I cook, because my wife's a picky eater.
Yeah.
And now she's on the program. She's on the path. So I'm meal prepping for 2 now, but it's like meal prepping for 6 because she has different food she likes, and she can't do like how we do, like the same exact food every single day. She just can't do that.
Yeah. And that's fine.
That's cool.
Some people can't do that, and there's ways to work around it because ultimately it needs to be sustainable.
Yeah, but it's awesome for me because now I'm getting to learn how to do what I do through her, like the back door, right? Through her, because she wants to eat the same quality but different types.
Yeah.
And different quantities. So it's cool. It's pretty cool. So yeah, but I thought that'd be cool to do, like, sit down and break down how easy it really is. Or like, even like if we documented our grocery haul.
Yeah.
Because people, I hear that argument. It's literally every single day. Somebody says, I can't afford to eat healthy. I'm on a shoestring budget. I'm like, okay. Here's the deal. My groceries for the whole week are $70.
Yeah. And you could make it a lot less than that if you wanted to.
Absolutely. I've done it. Like I've had to do it a few times where I didn't change. I didn't just say screw the diet and eat whatever I want. I stuck to the diet and just went and frugally shopped. And that, that's like an excessive purchases too.
I mean, where we live, you probably know someone that can give you free eggs. I'm in the car with someone right now who can give you free eggs.
I can't give every listener free eggs, but if you are around here and you want eggs, let me know.
And hypothetically, you could eat eggs every meal, add a few vegetables, maybe a carbohydrate source or two if you don't want to be in a ketogenic state, and there's your week. Yeah. Now, again, I know that that's difficult to do, but don't say you can't. Say you don't want to.
Right.
Because there's a difference there.
Yeah, exactly. Or I don't want to enough.
Mm-hmm. There you go. I like that.
Because everybody wants to. In the back of their mind. Nobody, I mean, I guess there might be somebody that wants to just be a, like, sloth-like. But, like, nobody wants to, like, only eat McDonald's cheeseburgers for the rest of their life. Like, I don't feel like that can exist. That's over, like, 6 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because there's kids. I mean, kids, that's all they'll eat. But, and that's a whole nother topic that I don't want to jump right into yet. But, yeah.
Well, let's go to a commercial break here, and then we got to go through some training updates and talk about some stuff on our ends, because I think that's always important to give transparency here. Yep. So let's go to a commercial break, and we'll talk more about some training stuff on our end when we come back. As listeners of the Chasing Dreams podcast, we know that you demand the highest quality at all times. If you're interested in quality, look no further than Beast Mode Baking. Beast Mode Baking aims to bring the highest quality, creative, and of course delicious baked goods to your home with nationwide shipping. All orders need to be pre-ordered to ensure they're packed fresh and shipped out to you as soon as possible. Beast Mode Baking offers a flat rate of $15 for shipping due to the size and weight of the cookies and doughs. So if you're interested in Beast Mode Baking, please contact CEO Shannon Knorr. That's at SKNORR13 on Instagram, and order your delicious baked goods today, because every time you support them, you're supporting the podcast as well. And we're back from our commercial break. All right, so prior to the break, we talked about going through some training updates and some life updates. Yes. You actually just recently got home, and I haven't really had the opportunity to talk to you about how vacation went. It was only briefly how vacation was going when we spoke.
It was good.
Last episode.
It was good. You know, I like, as we all talked, episode before last, I was sick, and that was the day we were leaving on vacation.
Yeah.
And got down there, and I was kind of homebound, the room bound or the beach bound right there in front of the hotel for 2 or 3 days.
Which, if there's anywhere you're going to be kind of
exactly
isolated to, that would be a good place to do
and that's why I went. I wasn't sick, like I wasn't COVID sick, but I had the whole sinus drainage and stuff, and I think it's just because of the change of the temperatures here.
That's what happens to me as well. Yeah.
And I whatever, I have a bad habit of clearing my nose instead of blowing my nose, and it ends up giving me a scratchy throat and a cough, and it's every year. It's every single year. So I was kind of sick for like 3 days down there, which kind of sucked, but we made the best of it. Mm-hmm. Held the line on the diet enough to maintain weight.
Good.
So we had a loss in the family the week before that inevitably stretched through the whole week, and then vacation, and then 2 long car rides, breakdown on the way home. And whatever, held the line enough on the diet to maintain weight. Mm-hmm. So the same as I left here 3 weeks ago.
Did you feel like you still were in that maintenance phase? Did you still feel like you were able to relax and enjoy and everything?
Yeah. I got to try the Busch Light Apple, which I'm not condoning drinking beer, but it was something that everybody was telling me to try. So I was like, all right, I'll try one. It was good.
Well, that's good. I mean, glad you made it back safely. Yeah. And were you, I don't know, when I go on vacation, I don't want to say that I don't enjoy vacation, because I do, but there's a little bit of an inside voice in me that makes me uncomfortable the entire time, to at least a degree. And the uncomfortability of it gets worse every single day.
Yes.
Where like the first 2 or 3 days I can enjoy, maybe, and then 4th day creeps in and I like need to get home. 5th day creeps in. Okay, I really need to get home. I can never go anywhere for more than like 5 or 6 days without it driving me absolutely nuts. And I've talked about it before. It's weird, even if there's nothing at home that needs addressed.
Right.
Like, it's even if I have off of work, I told all my clients I'm going to be gone for a while. Everything's sitting pretty at home. It's just, there's this weird echolocation that's trying to drive me home. And it's like, I need to get there. I need to do this. And so I have a very difficult time relaxing. I think part of it is routine based. Part of it is interest based too, because I'm not like training in the gym, like the stuff that I enjoy doing. I don't know. So it's not that I don't enjoy vacation, but the longer I stay on vacation, that enjoyment seems to dwindle down a little bit because it kind of gets like overridden through like feelings of like almost like anxiety. Like I have to get home. I feel like it's just where you need to be, you know. So that happens quite often on vacation. So I was wondering if you were able to fully immerse yourself in relaxation, or if there was a little bit of like anxiousness to get back, maybe.
There was because of the gym,
especially because the events that preceded it.
Yeah,
you said you didn't leave on a good note in the sense of like it's not like you trained and had this unbelievably great training and nutrition week, and then okay, now I get to relax. I earn the relaxation,
right? And that's something that we talked about that right before we left, and I was basically getting back on the horse, and then we had a tragedy, and then vacation, and it's like, well, crap, the horse didn't stand straight, but the goal was to just stay in the stable, and then get back here and get everything back on track, and then because this is that when everything's going good and perfect diet wise, that's when I'm the best.
Yeah.
Like, mentally. So yeah, and then when I go on vacation next year, that's when I'll have that feeling of I need to get home. Because things have to go perfect. You know what I mean? Because it has been going.
Yeah, it's been perfect. Yeah. So I want to maintain perfection.
Yeah, exactly.
Or close to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Is this your first day back training now?
No. Okay. No, I trained Monday. I trained a little bit on Wednesday, and I take that back. I did not train Monday because I didn't get home until like 1:30 in the morning, and I had to unpack everybody's cars and stuff. It was crazy Monday. So Tuesday I trained, and then a little bit on Wednesday. It was hectic. I worked late, and then obviously I don't train Thursdays because of the fire station. And then yesterday I trained late last night, trained back. So I skipped legs this week because I like to train legs on Fridays because it gives me 2 days to recover for work. But yeah, so that's what I actually was telling my training partners last night. They were cool and bought me a book to track my fitness for the year. And it's pretty cool, and they were just asking if I was using it, and I said yes, I was, and then I stopped because I'm not going to track the in and out lifts, the stuff that we're just doing for fun.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense to track that because it's not trackable. So once we start next week, and that's what I kind of how it led into telling them, next week we're back on the plan. So these fun things that we like to do intermittently are going to go away for a while. We have to get back on the plan. Like it's time to go.
Yeah.
So, that's what I did this week. Kind of basically was everything I did this week was either low weight, really high volume, just get back in the weight room, or like last night we did some heavy work but low reps. And I know those are like contradicting thoughts, but it was a pull day. So like, I can't get that mind to muscle like connection with like a deadlift with like really lightweight. Like I just can't do it. I don't know how, and I don't think it's a can't thing. I just haven't learned how to.
Well, it's very, very hard on compound movements because it's multi-joint, multi-muscle group. So you can't really isolate load onto one body part. Like, so that's why I think there's merit to doing your compound lifts, like your benches, your squats, your deadlifts, your overhead presses, the things where you're using a lot of muscle groups and a lot of joints, using load for tension.
Okay.
And then on your isolation, use mechanics for tension.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I'm not crazy.
No.
Okay.
No.
Good.
No. I feel like, okay, like squats, for example, I could slow tempo down and do really, really slow squats, but I seem to mechanically get a lot more tension if I throw 1, 2, 3, 4 plates on versus just having like 100 pounds on the bar and doing it really, really slow.
Exactly.
So I feel like there's some neurological signaling that's a lot more conducive to building muscle when you're squatting 400 pounds versus 100 pounds or whatever. So stuff on my end has been pretty consistent. Nothing out of the ordinary other than last week was the race where
I
we
was gonna say,
recorded.
you weren't getting out of that.
We recorded where it was the night before, right?
Yeah.
Saturday night, raced on Sunday. We had a little bit of a late start to our race. Our start time for my group was 2:15 because what they do at these Spartan races is they start you in groups of like, I'm guessing like 50 or so.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a set number
like
for
waves.
Yeah, and they send them every 15 minutes. So there's like, a 12 o'clock group, a 12:15, 12:30, 12:45, 1 o'clock, 1:15, so on and so forth. So our start time was 12:15 or 2:15, my group and I. So we got there early because Tony, who's one of the guys that raced with us, ran the 10K. So there's the trifecta.
Yeah.
Obviously, trifecta made up of 3 different races: the Beast, the Super, and the Sprint. The Beast is a 13 point whatever half marathon, or 13 point something, is it
13.1.
The Beast, or excuse me, the Super is a 10K.
Yep.
So what's that?
6.2.
Okay. And the Sprint is a 5K.
3.
I love how the Sprint is ironically titled, like it's something fast. So I've done 2 races so far, and I want to continue to do just the sprints because I'm not good enough to go into a 10K. Like I could complete it, but it's going to be long, and I feel like I don't want to move on to something until I perfected what I'm on now. So I want to continue to do the 5Ks, which my goal was to beat. Well, let me digress real quick. So we got a little bit of a late start because we got there early because Tony was running, and we wanted to be there right about when Tony finished. So we get there about, I don't know what time it was, maybe noonish.
Okay.
Maybe about noon, a little bit after. And there was a torrential downpour.
Yeah, I drove through it.
Like the hardest rain ever, just completely opened up. And it was short-lived. It was only about 10, 15 minutes total, but they delayed starts and stuff. Tony was actually finishing his his Super. So he was like probably quarter mile from the finish line, had just a couple obstacles left. And they actually made them skip the obstacles because it was too dangerous to try to climb and navigate through them because the rain was like hellaciously strong.
Yeah.
So anyway, long story short, they ended up delaying the start times, and the rain made everything insanely more muddy than it already was.
Huh.
So anyway, going into this, my goal was to beat my time from last Spartan race. Now, I'm sitting there before we get started, and we're like taping our ankles. We still have probably half hour or so till start time, getting everything ready, hydrating, because we were, going through pretty, I don't want to say extensive protocol, but we were being very mindful of our hydration and nutrition leading up to the race for the past day or two. So we're getting ready for the race, getting our ankles taped and everything, and then I hear people talking that had finished because they had already started and finished, and they were saying that it was much longer than a 5K. Now, it's supposed to be a 5K, but they were saying that they tracked on their watches, and they were getting 5 miles, and some of that is coming from the obstacles itself.
Yeah.
Because you're going up and over and around the obstacles, so there's extra mileage there in a sense. But everybody was saying that it was a lot longer, and that their times were so long compared to what they had ran at previous ones. Now, keep in mind, at this one, there was 3,000 feet of elevation that we were climbing. So we're going up these mountains that were insane. I mean, you know what it's like in deep West Virginia. You're climbing up insanely high mountains. Anyway, I ran this significantly more efficiently than I ran the one in Ohio.
Okay.
So my endurance was a million times better. Now, it was worse here because it was so much harder. Like this one was more difficult for me, but I don't know if I would have been able to complete this one within 3 hours had I if I was in the same shape as I was for the first one. So I was significantly better prepared, and my time went from 1 hour and 18 minutes in Ohio to 1 hour and 41 minutes in West Virginia. Now, my placings and stuff, evidently this one in West Virginia was one of the national ones. Like they have 4 core ones or something like that are the main ones. Like there's one in Utah, which is the hardest. And I think they said that this one in West Virginia was the second hardest in the country. And I finished. So there's less like beginners doing it.
Right.
And you could just tell by looking at the people that there weren't as many like first timers or people that just do this for leisure. It was a lot more of a competitive group, it seemed like. And I still got roughly in the same placings that I was in Ohio.
Yeah. So that same day I came through Glen Jean.
Yeah.
Back, well,
Beckley area. Yeah.
So I cut off of 77 in Beckley area and went back towards the New River Gorge to go take the kids to see the overlook.
Yeah. And that's right about where we were.
Yeah. So I was walking down that long boardwalk and steps to the overlook, and there was a guy. Oh, we were walking back up, and there was a guy carrying 3 finisher medals.
Yeah.
He did the trifecta. He did 2 seconds and a first, or 2 seconds and a third. So I thought that was pretty cool. I was like, my coach just raced that,
Yeah.
I was all hyped. You know how I get. But I seen a whole bunch of people. I was like, watch me walk up here in the parking lot and Charlie be standing there.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I actually, funny story. So Josh Smith, who was an athlete who I've worked a little bit with in the past, not much, but just some, some sessions here or there. And he's very good friends with, he graduated several years ago, and he's good friends with a lot of the football players I've coached and stuff. And I posted something on Instagram, and he said, "Hey, are you in Beckley?" Because I was doing the race. And I said, "Yeah." He's like, "No way." He's like, "I'm in Beckley doing the race." I said, "Dude, that's awesome." I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Oh, I'm doing the sprint tomorrow." He's like, "Our start time is 2:15. I said, "Get out of here." So I actually had the start time as the same as his. Time, yeah, which was very, very coincidental and pretty cool. He and I actually started, we kind of finished about the same time because we were in the last leg of it. I think we had like 2 more obstacles, and like we could actually see the finish line, and we're racing, and I hear from behind me, "No excuse nation." I turn around, and it's Josh.
Yeah.
So he and I actually finished right about the same time and stuff, which was pretty cool. But it was overall awesome experience. I think I'd like someday to maybe get the trifecta. So the trifecta, the 3 races, is you get labeled as doing the trifecta or completing the trifecta as long as you do the 3 races within a year. Now, there's some people that are psychopaths that do it in a day, and those people are absolutely
Josh
insane.
Morosi did it that day,
right?
Yes,
yeah. Josh did it as well.
The last time you raced too, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's people that are able to do that, like Tony, who we were with, and I have to give a shout out to the guys because they would get angry if I didn't.
Yeah, for sure.
Jake, who's coming to train with us today. Jake, Tommy, who's a guy I know from the gym, and Tony. Tony did the 10K in the morning, like we said, and then he did the 5K in the evening. And when we ran at 2:15 for the 5K, Tony at that point had only had like an hour break. So it was have a couple drinks, go to the bathroom, and then I'm right back on the course. And he actually started running and then said, "I'm not going to be able to keep pace." So this is Tommy's first event, and Tommy's kind of like taking control of his life, like his fitness and his health and everything as of late.
Yeah.
So Tommy doesn't have near the training experience that Jake and I have. So he was going at a little bit of a slower pace, and Tony, said that he decided to like stay back with Tommy and kind of motivate him because he said, "I tried to take off and keep up with you and Jake, and he's like, I couldn't do it. It was just too tough." And he said, "Next time, I'm not going to do the sprint. I'm just going to do the 10K until I can get it in a certain amount of time. Then I'll add the 5K afterwards." Right. So it was really cool, super fun. Can't wait for the next one, but glad that it's over because it's rough.
Isn't it fun with like endurance sports to like see how you have to play with training? And planning to do it, like, because it changes from race to race depending on the course, depending on the weather,
and it's hard, man. Because I saw, like, I was on the Spartans Instagram account, and they posted a picture, and one of the caption was, "How do you train for your Spartan race?" And I was reading through the comments, and they had me dying. Some of them were like, "I don't. I just show up and pray," and stuff like that. Because honestly, those races, it's kind of like a triathlon. Now, I know that there's people that do those like frequently, but it's very difficult to train for because the training needs to be so extensive.
Yeah.
Like I don't have enough time, nor do I want to for that matter, but I don't have enough time to be able to prepare myself for a 2-hour endurance race.
Yeah.
Especially because I don't have 2 hours to allocate to the training to be able to prepare for it.
It's longer than that too. It's,
yeah.
It's almost 5 or 6 hours a day sometimes.
Yeah. So like for me, when I was training for Spartan, I did more running. I run an hour and a half or 2 miles, or an hour and a half, a mile and a half or 2 miles every morning. Upregulated my training in the sense that I was doing a little bit more of some functional work, like some grip work and stuff. I never lost sight of the bodybuilding training and the normal training that my coach Austin needs me to do. And my nutrition stayed pretty on point. I don't think that my training took away from, it wasn't burning an excess amount of calories to where like food variables needed to be changed too much. But you can't really prepare for that unless you do that solely.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you can get better. Like obviously I got much better because I was implementing more running, more grip work, more cardio, circuit training, stuff like that. But if I wanted to get really good and maximize my potential at those, I would have to like train for that exclusively.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like when I'm running, like a lot of like the male competitors, they don't look like I do. They're significantly skinnier, very, very, very lean because body weight is a hindrance.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, when you're doing that stuff. I feel like my strength, like raw strength, helps a lot. But as far as the body weight itself, the muscle tissue is highly expensive in terms of oxygenation.
Yeah.
Like you need a lot. And it was funny because I was kind of getting paced back and forth with another guy who I talked to along the way as best as I could talk, because it's hard to talk because you're out of breath. You're climbing up these ridiculous hills, like you're carrying 100-pound sandbags and 80-pound Atlas stone and 70-pound buckets of rocks and stuff. It's awful. But I'm getting paced back and forth because he would pass me and then I'd pass him and then I'd see him coming up on me, so I'd kind of talk to him a little bit. He was a power lifter.
Okay.
210-pound power lifter, which that's, at my height, that's a big guy.
Yeah.
And we were talking about that, how, you know, muscle, having a good amount of muscle mass is helpful in the sense that you can kind of go around the obstacles a little bit better when you can pull yourself up and you have a lot of raw strength for the gripping the ropes and stuff.
Right.
But it also hurts you with the movement and the running part. One of the things that I encountered that was really bad was like my glutes were so pumped from running uphill the entire time, and my quads and my hamstrings, especially when you have such a good mind-muscle connection that your body's used to using things and essentially in an inefficient form.
Yeah.
And it just crushed me. It was very, very difficult. But overall, great experience.
I love that you're getting into some endurance sports because now
I feel like everybody needs they need some deviation.
Yeah.
You need to be holistically well-rounded. Everybody, if you're trying to optimize performance and stuff and health, you should probably have some strength training, some endurance training. Yep. I think it's just to be a well-rounded athlete. It's important.
And it's awesome.
And I can't coach athletes and not have some little bit of athleticism to me to show them, hey, I do this, you know, I walk the walk too.
I think if you didn't do that, you still have plenty of athleticism. But I like to be able to talk to you and know that you having that same enthusiasm for that style of event.
Well, I told you that last time I saw this quote by Matt Jansen, who's a bodybuilding coach who works with several pros, and like Sean Clarita, who's the 212 Mr. Olympia, he's his coach and stuff. So he's very well known in the bodybuilding industry. And he had this quote, I talked about it last time. It said, if you ask someone to go there, you better have been there yourself.
Exactly.
And I thought that was so cool because I'm like, man, that's so true. So like, I would never program on athletes' endurance stuff because I am not familiar with that. Like now I've done Spartan races, but just because I did 2 Spartan races doesn't make me the authority on intervals of training for endurance athletes. So like for you example, when you were doing your triathlon training, I said, hey, you know, I'm going to do your strength training and nutrition. And you said, okay, I'll go to my dad for my tri training because he's an endurance athlete and a former Ironman.
Yep.
So like, I think that I want to expand myself a little bit, and the only way to do that is to experience more and to
get your feet wet.
Sure.
Yeah. So right on.
All right, man. So good overall week, and going to be in an even better week this week.
Yep.
Continue to tell myself that no matter what, you know.
Even if it's not. It's going to be.
It's going to be.
There's no option.
So we're going to go, and we are going to hit a shoulder workout or press workout, probably pretty shoulder dominant. We like doing a lot of shoulder stuff while we're here training at the home gym. So I guess that's that.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add before we close up shop for the week?
Just, stay the course. When you find yourself wanting to sway from whatever you're doing, think about, I'm going to get cliche and talk about, like, for a second, what in the industry, everybody talks about find your why. But really, when you feel like you're going to sway or make a decision that's not right, find your why. Look at your why and say, is it worth it? If it's worth it, cool. I mean, whatever. As long as you can sleep at night, okay. But if not, even if it's not a little bit, just, keep hammering, stay the course.
There you go. Find your why, keep hammering, and stay the course. So with that, we have come to the end of another episode of the Chasing Dreams podcast. This has been episode 94. We appreciate your listenership, and we hope to hear back from you guys next week.
Unbreakable, unstoppable, I push to the edge and take it all. I'm born to be untamable.